For the next 30 days, I can only play these. Time to put them on the shelf. Those back there have to go. Let's get to it. And there we have it. So let's go crack on and play those games, and then let's find out, are they really worth being in your collection first?
What can I play?
Welcome to What Can I Play, where I try to find a game to play no matter the situation. Today, I wanted to test the claim that I made in the last video, where these 10 games here are the perfect games to start your collection. So I rolled back my collection for 30 days. I played only these 10 games. And what a journey it was. Before we go any further, let's establish 2 simple rules I had for this challenge. Rule number 1, I can only play these 10 games. However, games in the franchise also count too. Rule number 2, I have to play at least 1 game a day to see which games ultimately made it to the table. To help me keep track of all the games I played, I used the Aftergame app. This is a great free-to-use app that has a bunch of features. No, I'm not sponsored by them, but they are friends of the channel, and regardless, this is the app that I choose to track all my games that I play. I want to thank my family, Yolanda, Ethan, and Zoe, and all my friends for helping me play these games daily over the last 30 days. If you do like this challenge, please consider letting me know by liking and subscribing. Okay, so let's dive into what I found out. Also, stick around because there will be a giveaway at the end of the video where I'll be giving away a copy of Sushi Go and King Domino, which I'll tell you more about at the end. All right, so let's get stuck into the data. Here's what the data said. I played 53 sessions and in total about 32 hours played. Sushi Go led the plays with 10 plays. Ticket to Ride and Azul were the next most with 9 played each. Catan, however, and Cascadia were my least played games that hit the table with only 2 plays. Now, let's answer the question, can these 10 games be your whole collection? They're definitely great for starting out, but let's see why I think some other games would work better, and if these are happy to be your forever games. Catan and Cascadia both had 2 plays each. The reason is quite simple. They're simply a bit longer games to play. In fact, these are actually some of my favorite games on the list. Cascadia was a new to me game during the making of the Gateway Games video that I'll put up right here. And since then, it's been my number 2 most played game of all time with 28 plays. I love this game so much, but unfortunately in the month with the competition of trying to play so many other games, it just didn't hit the table that often, as it's typically something that plays a lot longer. And also another specific reason why Cascadia wasn't played as often is it's not on Board Game Arena, and that actually saved me behind a little bit as I was late in the day and needing to find a game to play as I wanted to try and hit my 1 game a day schedule. And Cascadia would typically be the one that I'd pick as it's one of my favorites, but just wasn't on that list. So that's another reason why I contributed. But that all being said, does Cascadia deserve a spot on this list as one of the best starter games in your collection? And ultimately, I have to say yes. Whilst I didn't get to play it often, and that is something you should definitely consider, it is so unique, relaxing, and fun, as I've spoken about ad nauseum already on this channel. Definitely pick it up if you haven't tried it. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite starter game, Catan. At least, probably the game that got most people into the love of board games. Catan, believe it or not, was the game that took Cascadia's primetime play spot, as simply, this is a game that is new to me. Yes, I'm a board game YouTuber who has not played Catan, and this was the first time I had the luxury of playing the game. After all, the channel What Can I Play is me asking you guys the questions of what games I can play and me learning about them in the process, and hopefully you learning something about a new game or 2 as well with me. So let's find out. Does Catan deserve a spot on this list? And yes it does. Look, I've only had 2 plays, I'm going to be transparent with it, but from those 2 plays, I can see why it's a great starter game. It's very simple to play with lots of layers of strategy to it, and ultimately I think that is the reason why it is a great starter game, as it can be pulled out at any moment when you're wanting to play a larger board game, and everyone will sure walk away from that table having some fun. So let's move on to a couple of other games. Just One and Love Letter. These are some of the shorter playtime games in this 10 box collection here. And yet they only hit the table 3 times. And why is that? Well, they both offer fairly unique gameplay styles compared to everything else on this list. So ultimately, I think they are just great, perfect starter games. But which one is better? Just One to me takes the cake in terms of its replayability. It is something that is portable and easy to be played by many people of all different ages, and this premise is quite simple. However, on the contrary, we've got Love Letter, which is also a quite simple game and is fantastically funny in itself, but I think it suffers from its replayability, and that's why it didn't hit the table as often in my 30-day list. However, there are a lot of similar games out there that I'd highly recommend, from One Night Werewolf to Coop to even Avalon. This was on BGA, and there are extensions of this game which I don't own, and I think that is where the game gets some more of its replayability. So if you're looking for something in the deciphering deception genre, Love Letter is fantastic as it's quite simple. But is it a great starter game? I don't think so. I think there are better games out there that gives you a bit more replayability and bang for its buck. Moving on to some more mid-tier games that actually got a few more plays out this month. We're talking about Carcassonne and Codenames. Each of them got 4 plays. Now let's talk about why both of them actually didn't win me over in terms of making it to a spot on this list. Starting with Carcassonne. Carcassonne is a fantastic game. Let's not get anything wrong about that. But in my opinion, Cascadia just does tile placement a little bit better. And having 4 tile placement games on this list, I would have loved to have played Cascadia a little bit more. But Carcassonne got a few more plays for it being simply on Board Game Arena. And that's ultimately what allowed it to play more, not the game itself. Its accessibility is what won it in the end. Now talking about Codenames, Codenames is another fantastic party game that is loved by everyone, myself included. But does it deserve a spot as one of your first games you buy to start your collection? That also to me is a no. It is actually the first game that I bought in my collection, so maybe a bit hypocritical in saying that. But now that I know a bit more, I think something like Just One or a game like So Clover could scratch that itch and be a bit more replayability. And the reason why I say that is the downtime in Codenames kind of makes the game a little less fun for everyone at the table to play. There's a bit too much thinking time going on that doesn't keep the game moving as fast, and then sometimes you feel like it shouldn't hit the table because not everyone's having fun at the same time. That's ultimately my gripe with when I play, but maybe that's not for you, and everyone else plays a bit more faster. Maybe I'm just slow. Anyway, my recommendation is to definitely stick to another word association game like Just One or So Clover, and I'm sure there's many other out there that I'll discover in my journey. Let me know if there's others that are a good replacement for Codenames. Now let's talk a little bit about my surprise hit, King Domino. This is another new to me game, only ever playing it once before on Board Game Arena prior to this 30 days. It actually got 8 plays throughout the session, and ultimately I played mostly of that with my 5-year-old son Ethan because it was something that was light and quick to play, and it also is a tile placement game that I seem to have found as something that I quite enjoy. King Domino is an excellent light tile placement game that has some surprising depth and replayability. It's fast paced and also has nothing to scoff at. This is one of the games that took me by surprise, and the reason why is I actually didn't receive this copy until 15 days into this challenge, when I finally was able to order a second copy because the first copy didn't arrive, and that's kind of why I have a spare copy to give away, as the second copy eventually arrived. So now that begs the question, does it deserve a place in this list amongst the other tile placement games? And I'm going to say yes. It does quite offer something that's quite different to the likes of Cascadia and other tile placement games. And I think the core thing that I really do like about it is the turn-based mechanic, where you are deciding whether you want that tile, but also whether you want to go first or not in the next subsequent turn, I should say. That in itself adds a little bit more depth to the strategy, because sometimes going first is more important than getting the tile that you want in order to secure a better tile coming up. That is why I think King Domino is a perfect starter game for your collection. Alright, let's get on to the big guns. Ticket to Ride and Azul. Ticket to Ride and Azul both got 9 plays throughout this 30-day challenge. And ultimately, what made that possible is the fact that they are both loved games and are on Board Game Arena. In fact, I didn't open up either one of these boxes on this whole 30-day journey. I only played them on Board Game Arena. And I think that's where they shine the best. Ticket to Ride is just simple and fun, but should it be in your collection? Yes, I think it should be, but maybe not right from the beginning. And the reason why I say that is ultimately what made Ticket to Ride fun was playing it on Board Game Arena. I played it 9 times and all of them were on Board Game Arena. I never opened this box that I borrowed from my local library once. And I think the reason is simple. You don't have to pack it up, you don't have to calculate, and you don't have to think about where your locations are. Board Game Arena definitely makes it easier and takes that mental calculation out of the equation. And that ultimately increases the fun factor. Being able to play this in under 15 minutes and you don't have to pack up is just a win. So I think it's best played on Board Game Arena and maybe not out of the box, but that's just my opinion. Let's talk about Azul. Azul, I think, also competes with the like of Cascadia in that mental capacity. They're very similar in terms of trying to think ahead and trying to really find those tiles that are going to make your points shine. But ultimately, I think Azul is best on Board Game Arena. Or maybe Minecraft. That's something that I also experimented with. I ended up recreating Azul in Minecraft. And if that's something that you're interested in, maybe that's a future video where I recreate board games in Minecraft. Just another thing that I love doing. Love to hear your thoughts on that. So anyway, does Azul make it into your top 10 games to start a collection? I think that one is down to you. Do you like the aesthetics of Cascadia or do you like the aesthetics of Azul? Honestly, I think they're both great games and you should probably own them or play them eventually, but having Azul on Board Game Arena, I think the answer therefore is no. Get a subscription to Board Game Arena, get your fix on there, and then pick up Cascadia and you can play it on your table at home. That's my 2 cents. Alright, now finally, let's talk about my number 1 most played game in this 30-day challenge. And that, my friends, is Sushi Go. Why was it such a standout? Well, ultimately, it's a 15-minute game and anyone can play it. Even my 3-year-old daughter decided to play it. Granted, she had no strategy and just pulled out whatever card at the time, but it works. You pass the cards around and everyone can play and everyone can have a bit of fun. The main reason why I think this game hit the table so often was my son, Ethan. He loved it. He often chose it as one of his games to play, that or King Domino. And I think what also tipped it over the lines is I went to a event, which I'll talk about in a moment, and I won this copy, which is a 10-year anniversary edition of Sushi Go, which comes with some accessories, which my son loved, and has some additional rules, which also keeps the game a bit fresh. Now, is that a bit cheaty? That's up to you to decide. But does Sushi Go deserve a spot in this top 10 list? Absolutely. It is an instant classic already, and it's one of those games that I would rather play over other family card games like Uno, or even a standard deck of 52 cards where there's many options available there. Its uniqueness in its pass and play is something that is just perfect out of the box for every game and for every person that has played it. They all think, wow, that's a unique game, and I quite enjoyed it and got it immediately. Definitely a great game to start your collection. Now, if you're lucky enough to have some of the expansions like I was, it definitely adds another layer of replayability. In fact, when I won this copy of Sushi Go, it's when I attended a local board gaming event, which was in celebration of Sushi Go's 10-year anniversary, where I was lucky enough to meet the designer and play with him, Phil Walker Harding. I took this opportunity to ask him why he believes Sushi Go belongs on this list of games to start your collection. And I thought I'd share that with you here as well.
I think Sushi Go has been a good, welcoming intro game for people. I think there's two reasons. One is the mechanism of card drafting, of passing hands around the table and choosing a card, I just think is one of those very fun, inherently fun mechanisms. That is just, when you see people playing, you want to have a go and have a play. So I think it's that mechanism presented very simply, without many rules. So it gets to this really fun mechanism really without any fuss. So I think that's the main thing. The second thing is that I think it sort of introduces some people who are new to gaming to different scoring rules. So it has majority scoring and has set collection and different things. And so I think it's just got that little bit of strategy where people go, oh, this is a simple card game. Oh, but I haven't seen that before.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
So I think they're the two things that come to my mind. And the cute art.
Of course,
helps.
Everyone loves the cute art. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this for me.
No worries.
Thank you. Also, big shout out to Jason from Toto Tam, who ran this event. He's a game designer from Australia, and ultimately, that's where I won this second copy of Sushi Go, which I will be giving away at the end of this video. Yes, I won 2 prizes, lucky me. However, the hardest thing about this event was trying to restrain myself from playing other games, as I could only play these 10, remember? And ultimately, I have to report, I failed this challenge. Yes, I ended up playing Flip 7. Yes, this wasn't on the list and I broke my rules, but ultimately I worked out why I caved. That's because I'm a huge fan of push your luck games, and having never had a chance to play Flip 7 yet, I couldn't pass that opportunity up. And none of these games on this list are push your luck. It got me thinking, do I have any tips that I would like to share about starting your own collection? Why was it that I wanted to play a push your luck game and couldn't just hold out for a few more days? So I compiled a list of tips. So if you're starting your own board game collection, these are my tips that I've come to realize after 30 days of playing this and being in the board game hobby for a little bit. Tip number 1, spend your money wisely and play games on Board Game Arena first. Use BGA as a trial to find out which games you want to put on your shelf. That's what it's there for. Use it. And I've come to realize that as Ticket to Ride, Azul, Carcassonne aren't games that are in my collection. I only have these physical copies because of my local library. And that's also another tip. Check your local library. Tip 1.5. Tip number 2, learn what genres you like. In this original list, there's 4 tile placement games, and maybe you're not into tile placement games. Why would you need 4 of them to start your collection? Find out which genres you tend to like, and maybe stick to those. For me, I like push your luck games. I also like trick-taking games. I would have, in my top 10, probably Flip 7, No Thanks, or a trick-taking game like Caesar Strife or The Crew would make my list. Everyone's list is different, and that is okay. We all have different tastes. There are probably some crossovers, and that's okay. Hopefully, some of these are on your list. Tip number 3, don't just learn what games you like to play, learn what games your circle, friends, and family like to play as well, as these are the games that are going to hit the table more often. Unless you're a solo gamer, of course, which is a whole nother list for another time. In the interest of starting your collection with the games that are going to be played the most often, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to find games that your circle, friends, and family love, because they're the ones that they're going to want to play with you. Not all these games on my shelf hit the table because they're not always loved by everyone, even though they're loved by me. So that's definitely something to consider when starting your own collection. Tip number 4 is find local gaming events. This is crucial to trying to find not only friends that like playing board games, but a breadth of new games that maybe you haven't discovered yet. And a great way to do this is, yes, the After Game app. Check it out. It's got a whole bunch of events on there in your local area, gaming sessions and more, and it's only getting better every time I use it. And it's free, and I like it. So, sorry. Shout out to the guys at Aftergame for making an awesome app. Tip number 5, do your own research. You clicking on this video must be just that, hopefully, or maybe you're just a fan of my channel. Thank you. But yes, do your own research. In part, making this video is me doing research, as one of the questions I get asked the most often since I've told people about this hobby that I'm doing in this channel is, hey, do you have any games you recommend me to play? What game should I buy? And yes, I'd love to say Cascadia, maybe because I've got an 82% win rate on Cascadia and that's why I love it so much. But not every game is Cascadia and not every game is for everyone. So I needed to research this topic specifically, so I have a list of different games so I can ask them some of those questions first. Hey, what genres do you like playing? Hey, what themes are your interest? Hey, what games have you played in the past that you've liked? So that way I can recommend them an extra game. Look, I'm here to learn as well. So if there's games that you think I would love playing, like Catan, that's maybe old or maybe new that I haven't played yet, do let me know. I hope these 2 videos that I made have been useful in some shape or form and have helped you make a good decision when buying your first games. Now, if you're still here, you're probably here to try to win one of these 2 games. Or you just like this video and I thank you for that. Now, if you want to win one of these 2 games, it's very simple. I'll be picking 2 lucky winners that comment down below what was your first game you bought and why. They'll be picked at random once this video reaches 1,000 views. That might be a week from now, 3 months from now, I don't know. Hopefully this video gets picked up in the algorithm a little bit. As ultimately, one of my goals by the end of the year is to reach 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that journey, please consider subscribing. Well, that's my 30 days with 53 plays, a whole lot of learnings summed up into 5 tips. I hope you found this video useful and I hope you definitely enjoyed it because it's something different that I haven't done on this channel. And if you did like it, please consider liking and subscribing. I know every YouTuber says that, but it does help the channel out a ton. Anyway, until next time, happy gaming.